Like damn, she wanna afford to touch me. I say I want it, and she got it.
What's good? It's your boy JayThat'sMe. Let's get into AEW Blood and Guts from July the 24th, 2024. A boring show for the most part. We need to go ahead and end the Elite Takeover angle. Enough is enough. It's been a waste. Let's end it. So we kicked the show off with Alex Marvez. He's on the hunt to find Will Ospreay backstage. So Will Ospreay has his tire slashed from his rental car, and then he borrows the key from Alex Marvez, and he takes the two of them on a ride. Okay, cool. So we officially kicked the show off with MJF. He is introduced to the ring by cheerleaders. So MJF gets on the mic. He says that Will Ospreay couldn't use the taco driver on him because he's a gutless coward, and the fact that people thought that Will Ospreay would win when he couldn't even beat Swerve is laughable. So MJF quickly addresses Swerve, saying he better pray that MJF doesn't come after him or his world championship. He also said that when the spotlight is on Will, he melts. Then he continues to make fun of Will Ospreay. He mentions his recently deceased grandmother, called her a fat slob. I'm like, wow, damn. And then he calls Will Ospreay worthless. So then MJF talks about the title around his waist, acknowledging that it was built on workhorses, before saying, working hard is for the poors. He makes fun of the crowd again. He calls them unpatriotic and treasonous. He said this title, just like Daniel Garcia, Billy Boy, and the crowd, is nothing more than garbage. So he dumps the title into the trash can bin on the outside. MJF says that he deserves a title of great status. Eventually, he unveils the American Championship, which is nice. He says when he's talking about America, he's not talking about nasty Nashville. He's talking about the most magical place in the world, Long Island, New York. And then he celebrates for a second. And then Will Ospreay comes out to chase him down. And then Will says that he's going to get his rematch at Wembley. So this is fine, I guess. Pretty cool stuff, I guess. Typical MJF stuff. Good stuff, I guess. Moving on. So Bryce Brinsberg, he does the twin calls. The Elite have the man advantage. Who gives a shit? Moving on. First match of the night, Chris Jericho versus Minoru Suzuki. I wanted to burn my television to the fucking ground. Fuck this match. Chris Jericho wins. Who cares? Post-match, the London Tree, they come out to beat down Minoru Suzuki. He's able to get in a Gotch Power Driver on Chris Jericho. And then Shibata comes out and makes the save. Who gives a shit? Fuck all of this. Put this in a wood chipper and be done with it. I'm so tired of this. It's time for Chris Jericho to retire. Or Chris Jericho should have faced somebody younger. Why the fuck is Minoru Suzuki still being involved in AEW? It makes no sense. Moving on. So Willow Nightingale, she is the new CMLL Women's Champion. So she's about to cut a promo, but she's interrupted by Stephanie Hathaway, and then Willow gets blindsided by Chris Statlander. And Stokely talks about Chris Statlander laying down a challenge for a non-title match, basically the eliminator match, basically, for the CMLL Women's Championship. Oh, joy. More non-title fuckery. Who cares about this shit? It's not that important. Moving on. So, Bryan Danielson, he talked about his recovery process as he gets up for All In. Before Jeff Jarrett interrupts to tell Bryan Danielson that he has a lot of work to do, that he just needs to go all in as he faces Swerve at Wembley for the AEW World Championship. I'm fine with this. I wonder what they're going to do with Bryan. Is he going to be a babyface, or is he going to be a heel? I don't know. It all depends on, what goes down. It sucks that Tony Khan is going to not allow for Danielson to wrestle, which is kind of dumb. You could at least put him in there with, like, a mid-card guy, and he can go at least a good, 5 to 10 minutes. Like a pick your poison type of thing between him and Swerve. I think that would be pretty cool. But it is what it is. But that's what I would do if I was in control of booking. But to just have Swerve and Danielson just cut promos for the next 4 weeks, I don't know how I feel about that. To be perfectly honest, I just don't know. We'll see how everything plays out, though. Moving on. So, Britt Baker, she defeats Hikaru Shida, who's still with AEW. It's insane that she's still there. I like Hikaru Shida, but her and Britt Baker worked a very, very slow match together. I don't know. I'm going to cut Britt Baker some slack. She did just get back from injury. It's basically just due to ring rust, and it happens. So I'm going to cut her some slack. I'm not going to go and just tear her down. So the match was, it was so-so. It was all right. Britt wins via the lockjaw. Post-match, Mercedes Mone, she comes out. She teases that there's nothing better she would love to do than fight Britt Baker right here and now. The crowd boos. And then Kamille, who's been signed with AEW since January. Yes, for 7 months. She finally makes her way onto the AEW women's roster. And she is now the heavy for Mercedes. Makes sense, but I was hoping that Kamille would be on her own and not tied down to Mercedes, but this is fine. It makes perfect sense. I see where this is all going. This is all leading to a tag match. Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker taking on Mercedes and Kamille. Should be fun if booked right. But thank the creator that Kamille finally made her debut. It makes zero sense. Kamille should have been front and center on Dynamite at least 4 months ago. Better yet, you might as well say 5 months ago. Come on, man. Tony, what the fuck are you doing, dog? What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know. I have no idea. Moving on. So Christian Cage, he's backstage. He says that the patriarchy will address the fans from the Bowsley Arena before announcing that Nick Wayne will enter the Royal Rampage. The Rampage Royal Rumble or whatever it's called. My bad. The Royal Rampage match this coming Friday. Who cares? He lets Nick Wayne speak on his behalf. But the prize, he's going to focus his attention on Kip Sabian after seeing him on Collision to have it out. So that's fine. They're still doing this useless Rampage. Where Rampage shit, it's worthless. Who cares? Fuck this. Moving on, Pac defeats a jobber named Boulder. Who cares? Moving right along. So Team AEW, they're backstage. They're starting to break down in light of the issues between Swerve and Darby and the Acclaim. So Mark Briscoe acts as the voice of reason, reminding them how important it is to put these things aside for one night to take down the Elite at Blood and Guts. Alright, that's fine. Do I really care? No, I don't. I don't give one single fuck about any of this shit. Moving on. So Mariah May defeats a jobber by the name of Caitlin Alexis. Then Toni Storm is dressed up as, I guess, a camera woman or whatever. She comes out. They have a little fight scene for a second, and they are separated by officials. And Toni cuts a really good promo saying, "Are you ready to die, Mariah May?" So I was like, oh shit, that's pretty cool. So I like where they're going with this. Since they booked the angle like this, I am under the impression that they should do a grudge match. I would suggest maybe a last woman standing, or a steel cage, or a DQ. It has to be a stipulation in this match. If you're going to do an angle like that, how Toni Storm got the shit kicked out of her, and how she bled everywhere, doing an angle like that, it calls for a stipulation. You can't just do a one-on-one match for the AEW Women's Championship at Wembley. You have to do a little bit more. You just have to. So we've got 4 weeks, so maybe something can come out of this. Again, if I was booking this would definitely have a stipulation to it, but maybe that will come to fruition in the coming weeks. So we got time. Moving on. So this leads us into the main event, which is Blood and Guts. My bad. Team AEW, they get the win. So, towards the end of the match, Jungle Boy, my bad, Jack Perry is getting the shit kicked in really bad. So Darby threatens to set Jack Perry on fire, which I don't understand why he would. He's done that before. He did it with a flamethrower like a few weeks ago. So why is this important? He did this back in what was it? Forbidden Door or whatever, some shit like that. I don't know. So I believe it was Nick Jackson. No, my bad. It was Matthew. He said that he would, surrender. He said, it's done. It's over with. Who cares? In this angle, this was stupid. Only to stand up for, Darby and Jungle Boy at Wembley. It makes no sense at all, and it just doesn't make any sense. Also, there's a bunch of weapons in this match, a bunch of blood and everything else. Who cares? Swerve and Hangman, they continue their feud still. Swerve was handcuffed outside of the cage. Hangman beat the shit out of him and everything else. It involves screwdrivers and steel chairs, steel chains, tables, just the same old shit that we always see with this shit. It is what it is. Blood and Guts needs to officially be a pay-per-view. It needs to be for a match. It needs to be done for a pay-per-view. It doesn't have to necessarily be any specific pay-per-view, but I would do it maybe around like Full Gear. That's what basically Blood and Guts should be used as. It should just be used as a match towards the end of the year. And I think that would make the most sense. But is it needed on television? No. We didn't need this. Where do we go going forward? I have no idea. But Blood and Guts was a disaster. The show was just boring. Chris Jericho and Minoru Suzuki made me want to gouge my eyes out. Like, seriously. I'm tired of this shit. Tired of it. So, before I finish the review, just want to go over some brief news and notes. AEW, they're still trying to get an extension from Warner Brothers Discovery, which they'll get. There's no need to really talk and spend a whole bunch of time on it. Again, right now, Warner Brothers is basically fighting for their life. They're trying to keep the NBA. They made an offer. The NBA said that they didn't and all that. So, it is what it is. I think the NBA, I think they want like $77 billion or something like that, or 77. It's something. It's some insane, ridiculous amount number that they want. I think it's like 77 million. It's massive. So I think AEW will get their deal. I don't know if it's going to be a massive extension, but they'll get something for sure. I don't see AEW shopping for anything else. They can. They're in the top 10, that being Warner Brothers. Anything else would just be a waste of time, if we're being honest. And moving on from that. So, Malachi Black, he is in the process of leaving AEW, possibly. He might not. So he's kind of in limbo. He's like, will he stay or will he go? If Malachi Black has to have an extension add on to his contract for being, out with injury and all that stuff, then he doesn't need to go back to WWE. He could, but I think he would be better in AEW. Also, his stablemate, Buddy Matthews, has re-signed with AEW, which is fine. I guess he likes making the money there. I was thinking he was going to make the switch and be with Rhea since they just got married, but it is what it is. And also, Keith Lee is on his way out the door with AEW as well. So he could go back to WWE. He had a rough go in AEW. He really was not used to his best potential. Some of that was health reasons, with COVID. I believe he got it, was it in 2021 or 2022? One of the two, can't remember. Does WWE need Keith Lee? The answer is no. If I'm Keith Lee, if you really want to be used, go to TNA, for real. Go to TNA. He's almost pushing 40. Go to TNA. Triple H is trying to basically use younger guys, basically. That's what it seems like. So if I was Keith Lee, just go to TNA. And if Malachi Black still has to have like a year added on to his contract, then he should go to TNA also whenever his contract is up next year. So we'll see how it all plays out. But what did you guys think of Blood and Guts? I thought it was boring, a waste of time. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.